All right, Alabama's number one fan, Michael Bratton. That SEC podcast straight out of Nashville. He joins us on ESPN 1059 The Zone. All of our guests join us on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line. Bundle your auto and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. The Out of Bounds Show is also brought to you by the number one commercial and industrial roofing company in Mississippi, Independent Roofing Systems, roofing.ms. Done right the first time since 1980, roofing.ms. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Michael Bratton, Roll Tide. What's up, buddy?
Hey, I thought Ryan Fowler was Alabama's biggest fan. You're looping me in with those crazies?
Well, I had to just because I feel like whenever you can undervalue them, you do it, and I love it. I know that you're kind of taking shots, or it's sometimes you're hoping that they're not as good, and so I love it when you throw out your power rankings, and I feel like they're like 3 spots lower than they should be.
Well, they've had their time, Bo. It's time for the rest of us to live a life without Alabama dominating the sport.
I'm with you. All right. So over the weekend, Georgia struggled with Kentucky. Mm-hmm. Did you move them out of number one in your power rankings?
I sure did. I dropped them all the way down, I believe, to number 4. Now, again, this is early in the season, and I don't put anything on what happened last year. This is just this season. And sure, they looked great against Clemson. I guess you could say they looked great, Bo. But here's how I look at Georgia right now, and this fair or not. We have seen them play 2 football games against, non-FCS teams, and we've seen about a quarter of good offense from them. Is that fair or not?
Okay, so give the top 5 teams in the league, in my opinion, in no particular order, are Georgia, Texas, Bama, Ole Miss, and Tennessee. Now,
correct.
Give me your top 5 power rankings in the Southeastern Conference coming out of week 3, going into week 4, Michael Bratton.
I got Tennessee number 1.
I love it.
I got Texas number 2. Now, when I did this, I didn't know.
Were you half drunk?
Well, I'll plead the 5th, but I put Texas 2 because we didn't know how long Quinn Ewers was out. Sounds like he's not going to be out very long at all, but so I may put Texas number 1, but Tennessee number 1 for now, Texas 2, Ole Miss 3, Georgia 4, Alabama 5.
Ole Miss hasn't played anybody.
Yeah, but again, I go off what I'm seeing, and I'm seeing someone that is just wrecking people, and I get it. Yeah, they've not been tested, but you play the schedule in front of you, and
That's true.
Their opponents about 210.
Right. No, I've won money on them all 3 weekends, so I get it. Okay, so I still have Georgia 1. I have Texas 2. I have Bama 3. And then I think it's a toss-up, Ole Miss, Tennessee. But I like where you're going with Tennessee. I think so. Are you? It's still so early. They've actually played someone, unlike Ole Miss. They wrecked North Carolina State. And NC State may not be great, but they're a legitimate Power 4 team with some good athletes. Is it too? I mean, you obviously have them number 1. Like, how much are you buying Heupel in this team, Michael?
Well, I think, just it wasn't that long ago, Bo. It was about 2 years ago. People had him as a consensus top 10 coach in the country. And then they win 9 games, which that's probably a top 3 record in the last 20 years at Tennessee. And people forget that Heupel's a good coach, So, I mean, I think we're seeing it. And for all the hoopla around their quarterback, which he looks like he could be phenomenal. That's too strong to say he's at that level today. But for all the hoopla around their quarterback, I don't understand why they overlook it. They have a dominant defensive front, and they may have the best rushing attack in the conference. So you combine that with a quarterback with an unlimited ceiling, and Tennessee, I'm not sitting here today telling you they're going to win the national championship, but I think they could win it.
All right. Michael Bratton, that SEC podcast out of Nashville. He may have had a couple of cocktails when he did his SEC, or a couple of beers or bourbons when he did his, which there's nothing wrong with in the
Right.
SEC. Actually, all power rankings should be done around a good glass of bourbon, but or an ice cold Stella Artois. But the bottom line is Bratton has Tennessee 1, Texas 2, Ole Miss 3, Georgia 4, and Bama 5. So you're not buying Bama, are you?
Well, maybe I'm buying them a little bit more after watching them this weekend, but still, that South Florida is burned into my memory where they got outrushed by South Florida. And I, for all the hoopla around them, I thought their quarterback looked awful in that football game. I mean, he had about 2 wide open touchdowns he missed. Had he connected on those, I think South Florida would have beat Alabama. So yeah, I mean, it's one game. I'm not putting too much stock into that. Not this upcoming weekend, but the following one, of course. We got Georgia at Alabama. That's going to tell us a lot about both those teams. And whoever wins that game is probably going to skyrocket to number 1.
Yeah, no, I agree. Somebody's going home with an L in 2 weeks in that game in Tuscaloosa. I want to talk about your Vols going to Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be wild. You're 7.5-point favorites right now. You are a better football team. Now, I think they're going to be sky high and play out of their mind for a while. You're just going to have to withstand that. You're a better football team. You have a much better head coach, and so on. Where are you right now on that 7.5? Would you lay them? I mean, I know your Vols. I like them. You're wrecking people like Ole Miss and so on. You've actually played somebody. Do you like the 7.5, laying it or taking it?
No, I think I would. I think I would lean Oklahoma and the points. Now, I like Tennessee to win outright, but yeah, I think that's a little too rich for your first true road test. I mean, I was down in Norman, Bo, on July 1st when they officially came into the league. Well, I had people telling me there this is going to be the biggest home game in 50 years because obviously they don't play Texas. You know, that's their main rival.
That's a great point.
I mean, these people are charged up for this game. They got college game day. It's what they wanted. I think it's going to be a buzzsaw. So I wouldn't even be shocked if Oklahoma jumps out to an early lead here. But, yeah, you know, how will Tennessee respond? They've not been in this spot. I think it's going to be a classic game. So give me the points. I always like a touchdown or more with a home team. But, yeah, I do. I'm very confident Tennessee will win the game, but I think it'll be close.
Okay. All right. You're not impressed with Georgia.
I mean, I thought they had the number 1 quarterback in the country. I mean, where was that against Kentucky? Where was that for the first half against Clemson? I'm not seeing it, Bo. And I mean, I don't know how anyone. I mean, we have to talk. I don't understand why more people don't talk about it, but seems like every other day they're getting a guy arrested, which normally we don't talk about stuff like that. But when you get up to about 30 players that have been arrested, I mean, it's reeks of some kind of culture issue there. I think. Now maybe
entitlement. They've won so much.
Right, and they don't have that dominant defensive front that they have had when they won back-to-back national championships. They have a very good front. I mean, they may have the best defense overall in the country. They're so fast, but they don't have that dominant defensive front, and their offense of line got, I thought, obliterated by Kentucky. So was that them looking ahead to Alabama? Was it probably them just disrespecting Kentucky because Kentucky just got the doors blown off by South Carolina? It's probably all of that. And this will probably be a wake-up call for them. But, I mean, I didn't see anything that made it seem like they're the best team in the country on Saturday.
Yeah. For our listeners, Bama and Georgia are off this weekend as they get ready for the big showdown in Tuscaloosa. We're visiting with Michael Bratton. This guy loves to mess with you on Twitter. And he has a large time, pretty much all the time. Who's your sidekick again that's drunk all the time?
Yeah, that'd be my cousin Shane, who just made his way down. He said Shane Beamer is going to be the first coach fired. He said he's a joke. And then after they whooped Kentucky, he went down to South Carolina, wore a billboard that says "I'm an idiot," and just drank with all the fans this Saturday morning.
I saw your post. That was great. That he went to Columbia and did that whole thing. You know, Beamer may hang on. Of course, it's a long road, and they have a brutal schedule. Let me see what they're doing.
And their quarterback, I don't know how long he's out, but he got banged. They are totally ineffective without that quarterback.
No doubt. Lenoris got he couldn't play in the second half, and boy, didn't they get royally hosed, Bratton, on that two calls, the PI call, and then when they picked off the ball and they called a illegal hit on Nussmeier. How bad of calls were those?
I mean, I don't understand how anyone looks at that and says otherwise, Bo. I mean, I get it. I mean, people say you got to protect the quarterback, but the South Carolina defenders, Kennard, he could have laid Nussmeier out. What he did is he pushed him in the chest.
Yeah.
And we act like he murdered him. You know what I mean? And it cost South Carolina a win. I would be pissed if I was Beamer and company.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So what I see, you've got my Mississippi State Bulldogs ranked dead last.
I mean, I think that's too high, don't you, Bo? After now this is what I anticipated with Mississippi State against Texas, against Georgia, which why in the world they get them back to back on the road? You can't tell me the SEC scheduling is not corrupt, but that's kind of what I anticipated Saturday looking like against those teams. I did never in a million years anticipate that against friggin' Toledo. It is a complete and utter rebuild, and I mean I would not be stunned if Mississippi State wins maybe 2 games this year.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's a disaster. It's not a rebuild. It's a major rebuild, and they're just going to have to hang in there with Levy and get the thing back right over the next couple of years. Who else did I want to ask about here? Michael Bratton on the Out of Bounds show. Tell everybody when your show is today.
Yeah, we usually go live around 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 Eastern, and just talk nothing but SEC football for an hour and a half, drinking beers. And if you can't make the live show, it stays on YouTube, and then it comes out on all the podcast platforms right after that.
Now, Cousin Shane, by 6 o'clock in the afternoon, how many beers has he had? And then throughout the show, how many beers does he have?
Well, it really just depends on how bad of a day he had at work, how bad of a fight he just got into with his wife. But he's usually about 2 beers deep when we start because he's just getting home. And then usually about 4 or 5 during the show.
Oh, that's not bad. That's not bad. Okay. Now, what about you? Are you single, married? What's going on with Michael Bratton?
Yeah, I'm not single, but I'm not married either, if you know what I mean. So I'm kicking that can down the road, going on about 9 years now, and
damn,
that's a conversation every Thanksgiving with the family. Trust me.
Wow. Do y'all live together?
Oh yeah, basically the whole time.
Okay, so Jackson, my producer, his girlfriend just moved in last week, and he's going full-blown domesticated here. In fact, they bought a rug over the weekend. So a lot of times, what's next after that. So,
yep.
Do you have any advice for him now that he went and bought a rug on a Saturday during football season?
Yeah, just don't give in to tears and family pitches to get that ring and everything of that nature. I mean, it's tough, but I have become numb to tears of my woman. So I'm just against the whole thing, to be perfectly honest with you.
This is great. Michael Bratton, that SEC podcast on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line out of Nashville. His co-host, Cousin Shane. Is he really your cousin, or is that just nonsense?
No, he really is my cousin, believe it or not.
Okay. All right. And so he called that Shane Beamer was going to lose his job, and then Beamer goes to Kentucky and wins 31-6. And then he goes down to Columbia and parties with them this past weekend. Is that right?
Right. Wearing a billboard that says, "I'm an idiot."
All right. All right. Do you want to rank? Give me your top three top 3 or 4 SEC quarterbacks. Include Quinn Ewers, even though he's hurt. He's going to be back, like you said.
Yeah, Quinn, I would probably put him number one right now. I thought he should have been the favorite for the Heisman. Again, until he got injured there, but I'm not necessarily knocking him from that perch. We'll just have to see, well, how he is moving forward. I put him one. I put Jackson Dart number two, and then number three, I would probably put Jalen Milroe.
Okay, so you'd have Milroe over Nico, and you mentioned you're not impressed with Carson Beck this year.
I mean, not to this point. He had one good drive against Kentucky. I've never. I'm not saying he's awful or anything like that, but I would almost. I don't get all this. He looks like an old school NFL quarterback. Before they learned they could run the football in the professional leagues. I would never have when you play with a quarterback like that, you're essentially playing 10 on 11.
Right.
So give me the guy that can run as well. Now Carson Beck, maybe he'll pile up a lot of yards like he did last season against playing a god awful schedule. This year, it's a different story, Bo. They got to play Alabama. They got to play all these teams in the top 5. They play them all. Georgia does 4 of the top 5, and I think Carson Beck's going to get exposed. Maybe it's too strong a word, but I think his stock's going to fall a little bit.
For our listeners, Georgia has not played, neither is really anybody from the East, a tough schedule. And I agree with Michael Bratton. They've already played Clemson. They play Bama, not this weekend, but next. They play Auburn. They play Texas. They play Ole Miss, and they play Tennessee. So, got to be by far and away the toughest schedule they've ever had in the history of their program. Because
they're playing the easiest schedule in their program last year.
Yes. And Tennessee, your Tennessee Vols and Ole Miss that's a cakewalk for SEC standards. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I said it all off season, Bo. If Tennessee can win at Oklahoma and beat Florida at home, which that sounds like a joke, but still, that's like the cursed team Tennessee can't beat. But if they can beat Oklahoma on the road and Florida at home, they're going to the college football playoff. Every single team in this conference would sign up for that, because I think they can lose to Georgia and lose to Alabama as long as they're a 10 or more favorite in every other game. Just win the rest, you're in the playoff. Who wouldn't sign up for that?
I'm with you, man. Michael Bratton on the Out of Bounds Show, brought to you by an ice cold Michelob Ultra. This is ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Who do you think Florida's going to go after?
I just think it's hilarious, Bo. They're going to talk themselves into Kiffin. I'm already hearing Dan Lanning, just from their fans, keep in mind. This is just pie in the sky. And then they'll land like Alex Golesh, like a G5. That's what they always do. Florida does not land a big-name coach. I don't know why their fans always do this to themselves. Is it going to be Chip Kelly? Is it going to be Lane Kiffin? These people do not go down there. And why would they? Now, Kiffin will play this perfectly. He will not address it, and nor should he. And what's going to happen, Bo? He's going to get a contract extension. He's going to start making $12 million a year. But what he's really going to do is he's going to go to the boosters that have already paid for all this NIL and everything and say, I need X amount in NIL. And if you don't provide that, Florida will. So whoever provides the NIL, I think he'll go with. But given what we've seen from Ole Miss, as long as they keep winning, I think they'll give him whatever the heck he wants.
Yeah. No, that he'll get a significant pay raise, and Florida's going to end up with Jamie Chadwell. All right, which, by the way, I think would be a hell of a hire. It wouldn't be Kiffin, but it would be a hell of a hire. You don't want Dan Lanning. That's smoke and mirrors out there at Oregon. He's not a big-time coach. Okay, cool. Well, cold beers on me around 5 o'clock this afternoon, my man.
Nick Saban is available, just so you know.
Oh, I love. Maybe they could poach Dabo from Clemson.
That's right up their alley. I would love that. Dabo. Who else could we throw in here? With defensive coordinator Gene Chizik, something like that.
Ooh, shots fired. I love it. Jimbo Fisher?
Jim, Les Miles, recruiting coordinator,
Eddie O's I think he's hanging out at his beach house on 30A.
Oh, man, he had them all fooled, and he's laughing all the way to the bank. I love Coach O.
Yeah. No, he's great. He's great. All right, dude. I hope you have a great week. Okay, man?
All right, take care.
Michael Bratton on the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. I think my one big takeaway from that is he's been dating someone for 9 years, and they've been living together, and he hasn't proposed. Jackson Meadows, on the other hand, his girlfriend moved in a little over a week ago, and they've already bought a rug. And they've sat down. This is what you do. And they've sat down and talked about it, because that's what you do. Like if you buy bar stools, you buy them, you put them in the house, and then you sit down and talk about them. You buy a sofa, you sit down and you talk about it, right?
Yeah, I didn't pay that much money for that rug to not talk about it. When you go cheap, it's a nice rug.
Whoa.
Ties the room together.
Okay.
It's impressive. I'm very proud of
What
that
color's the rug?
Oh, it's a multicolored deal. I'll show you a picture. It's pretty sweet.
Okay.
This is a sweet
Are your
rug.
dogs going to pee and poop on it?
If I wish they would.
Oh,
I
really?
would absolutely wear that dog out.
Really?
Yeah, there's only one that would do it. My little pit bull, he would
Is he gonna christen the rug?
he would never. Not if he he knows that shoe too well.
He does.
Yeah. He's I didn't have to train that dog. My older dog trained him for me.
Really?
Oh yeah, which was very nice. Did the whole thing for me.
Your older dog trained your pit bull.
Right. 11, because she's 11, the older dog, half golden and half lab, so she knows what she's doing by now. She's been probably trained her whole life, and sure enough, that little puppy comes along, we rescue it, and she trained him for me. Didn't have to do anything.
Have you moved furniture around since
Yes.
your girlfriend's moved in?
Well, yeah, because we got the chairs. We got the chairs.
I gave you the chairs from up here.
Got the chairs, and now it was hard. Now the chairs made it a little difficult finding the right rug.
That makes sense.
A little difficult finding the right rug, but very pretty happy with our decision.
Okay.
It's a win.
You like the chairs?
Big time.
Okay.
Real comfortable. Dogs don't get on them. They know better than that, too.
Yeah, they did.
They get on everywhere else in the house. No chair, not anywhere but those rug and that chair. That rug and those chairs.
The Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. Your next toolbox is powered by Rick's Pro Truck. Your next WeatherTech floor guards are powered by RPT and Rick's Pro Truck. Your next lift kit is powered by RPT and Rick's Pro Truck. And your next set of tires and wheels are powered by RPT and Rick's Pro Truck. Jeff Duncan, Saints Insider, at 9:30 today. Saints are 2-0.